Those beings who were occupied with such observations and studies were called, at that period on the earth, astrologers. But when, afterwards, that psychic disease of theirs, called wiseacring, became finally fixed there, owing to which these specialists of theirs also shriveled and shrank, and became specialists only in giving names to remote cosmic concentrations, they became to be called astronomers. Inasmuch as the difference in significance and sense, in relation to surrounding beings, between those from among the three-brained beings who have taken your fancy, who at that time were such professionals, and those who have now, as it were, the same occupation, might show you, so to say, the obviousness of the steady deterioration of the degree of crystallization of data engendering the sane logical mentation, which ought to be present in the common presences of your favorites, as three-brained beings. I therefore find it necessary to explain to you, and to help you to have an approximate understanding of this difference, which is also changing for the worse. At that period, these terrestrial three-brained beings, already of responsible age, whom the others named astrologers, besides making the said observations and investigations of various other cosmic concentrations, for the purpose of a greater, as is said, detailizing of the branch of general learning of which they were representatives, fulfilled several further definite essence obligations taken upon themselves towards surrounding beings similar to themselves. Among their fundamental definite obligations was that they also, like our Zerlichners, had to advise all the conjugal pairs in their what was then called flock, according to the types of those pairs, about the time and form of the process of the sacred El Muarno, for the purpose of a desirable and corresponding conception of their results. And when such results were actualized, or, as they themselves say, newly born, they had to draw up their obliquior niche, which is the same as what your favorites call horoscope, and later either they themselves or their substitutes had, during the whole period of the formation of the newly born for responsible existence, and of their subsequent responsible existence, to guide them and give corresponding indications on the basis of the said obliquior niche, and also on the basis of the cosmic laws, constantly explained by them, flowing from the actions of the results of other large cosmic concentrations, in general on the process of being existence of beings on all planets. These indications of theirs, and also their, so to say, warning counsels, consisted in the following. When a function became disharmonized, or only began to be disharmonized, in the presence of any being of their flock, then this being applied to the astrologer of his district, who, on the basis of the said obliquior niche made by him, and on the basis of the changes expected, according to his calculations, in the processes proceeding in the atmosphere, flowing in their turn from the action of the other planets of their solar system, indicated just what he had to do to his planetary body, at which definite periods of the Crentolnanian movements of their planet, as for instance, in which direction to lie, how to breathe, what movements preferably to make, with which types to avoid relations, and many things of the same kind. In addition to all this, they assigned to the beings at the 7th year of their existence, likewise on the basis of these obliquior niches, corresponding mates of the opposite sex for the purpose of fulfilling one of the chief being duties, that is, continuation of the race. Or, as your favorites would say, they assigned them husbands and wives. Justice must be done to your favorites of the period when these astrologers existed among them. They then indeed very strictly carried out the indications of these astrologers, and made their conjugal unions exclusively only according to their indications. Therefore, at that point, in regard to their conjugal unions, they always corresponded according to their type, just as such pairs correspond everywhere on planets on which Kreshtchatpatmarnian beings also breed. These ancient terrestrial astrologers made these matches successfully because, even if they were very far from the knowledge of many cosmic trogoauto-egocratic truths, yet they at least already very well knew the laws of the influence of different planets of their solar system on the beings breeding on their own planet, namely, the influence of these planets on a being at the moment of his conception for further formation, as well as for his complete acquisition of the being of a responsible being. Having, thanks to the information transmitted to them from generation to generation, a many-centuried practical knowledge, they already knew which types of the passive sex can correspond to which types of the active sex. And owing to all this, the pairs matched according to their indications almost turned out to be corresponding, and not as it proceeds there at the present time, and that is to say, they are now united in conjugal pairs who nearly always do not correspond in type, in consequence of which, during the continuation of the entire existence of these couples there, about half of their, as they say, inner life is spent only on what our esteemed Mullah Nasser Eddin expresses in one of his sayings by the following words: "What a good husband he is, or what a good wife she is, whose whole inner world is not busy with the constant nagging of the other half. In any case, my boy, if these astrologers had continued to exist there, then surely, thanks to their further practicing, the existence of the beings of this unfortunate planet would by now have gradually become such that their family relations would at least have been a little like the existence of similar beings on other planets of our great universe. But all this which was beneficently established in the process of their existence, they have also sent, like all their other good attainments, without even having had time to make good use of it, to the gluttonous swine of our respected Mullah Nasser Eddin. And these astrologers of theirs, as usually happens there, also at first began gradually to shrink, and then entirely, as is said, vanished. After the total abolition among them of the duties of these astrologers, other professionals in the same sphere appeared in their place, but this time from among the learned beings of new formation, who also began to observe and study, as it were, the results issuing from various large cosmic concentrations and their influence on the existence of the beings of their planet. But as the ordinary beings around these professionals soon noticed that their observations and studies consisted merely in inventing names for various remote suns and planets, meaning nothing to them, existing in milliards in the universe, and in measuring, as it were, by a method known to them alone, and which constituted their professional secret, the distance between the cosmic points seen from their planets through their child's toys, called by them telescopes, they began to call them, as I have already told you, astronomers.